masezimabela bhonqile kuncancisa indwadunge nenkedamazeli lizwe phambili bafazi. Remember, we are standing on the broad shoulders of the great Charlotte Maxeke, Bertha Koya, Rahima Musa, and all the great women that have fought and abolished the apartheid system. Today, we are facing the gender-based violence and femicide. Masiman, Benikaba Fafi, let's hold this bull by his horn. No danger, Nalalumtanayo. No danger, Nengeni Salayayo. No danger, Nesiki Punzake. Genosana, Ibuyam, Pomsoko, Masifu Samatambo Kamutachi, Masinyukita, Masiobusa, Kunam Kobulwana, Masisila, Sizali Singhai, Sishamashangwa, Nepasulu Lenyewe, Siwisis Kwebo Santambo, Sishambulula Linyala Likandu Seleyo, Ibuyam, Pomsoko. Remember, we are the lioness, like the Lion of Judah, Jesus Christ. We hold the power. Women give birth to the world and a great society. Men, it's time to change and build this world and make it a better place to live in. Together we shall rise. Let us build the Ark of Covenant. Let us build the Piso. Let us build the love balance and build love in the name of one God, one power, one purpose, one destiny. See, and in the first balenda one tagat, Decham,
So powerful. Ma'am Jessica, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I actually feel you should be closing the show. I can't believe we're still going on, like you've said so much. You know, you are not just a poet. You are an activist, because the spoken word in and of itself is activism. You are the voice of the silenced. You challenge gender norms. You're talking to men and telling them to rise up and challenging the choices they make. Talk to me about where we are today when we look at the women in 1956 versus the women in 2022.
Let me first say to you, Buza wasembelebeleni, ulotsungana indaba zasemzimba. I salute you, Princess, and thank you so much for having me here. It is because of those women that we still have the sense of pride, and we are still the flowers of our nation. And the women of today, it's time for us to actually look at the things that are realistic, not the illusion of the hype of trends, because we are the ones who are the trendsetters. We are the ones who are the builders and the pillars. So we need to bring up the solid effect on bringing our children, because the men that are raping today are given birth by the women. And when we say there must be a death sentence in Africa, we will be killing our children. So it's time for women to take charge of the cultures and traditions and not bury things that like the things that are a galloping disgrace in our society. We need to hold things and be realistic and stop protecting our children and our uncles and our brothers where we see that they have gone wrong.
But when we speak of culture, then you have scholars that talk about destructive gender norms, that somehow women at times are abused by the very culture that they belong to, because culture speaks to our identity. But at times, if you are part of a community, if a young girl has been abused, it must be discussed in the home. So many young women find themselves moving away from their culture purely because it has served to further oppress them. So what happens when people want to remain within their communities and still have a pride in their culture, but the culture seems to oppress them?
Their culture evolves and traditional leadership has to play its role, and thought leaders have to come and contribute. We have to be, we have to work on this as a collective. We are not stagnant as the people, and therefore we cannot marginalize within the systems of the scholarship, because even scholarship takes the point of reference from the people's way of life. So we need to evolve every day, and we need to be involved. We can say, no, we are in the townships. Everywhere there is somebody, we are moving to the urban. Where there is a human being, there is a human capital, and there are human rights. And therefore we need to take part. And our society today is led by monetary, the solid monetary value. We need to value the human capital equivalent to the commodities that we possess as the people. We cannot keep on chasing the commodities whilst we see that our root that is giving a sense, which is a human capital, into the commodities is being left behind. Right now we have the world where there are dangers. It's so dangerous. You can't walk anywhere, even if it's broad daylight. Our children have just been raped, and we are being raped in our homes. We have to keep our doors locked. What kind of a society is that? It starts with that uncle. It starts with that brother. It starts with that father that we allow to rape his children just because he is the one who's bringing bread at home. We must take responsibility as the women. We must raise, because raising children is not a chore, is something that is of joy. We must build our homes and partner with the schools, because most of the times our children spend most of 8 hours at schools. Partner with the churches, and the churches have to come up front, not bury indaba zabefundisi aba miraculous and powerful and glorious. The church has to stand up. Women, not only the walls are going to do that. Women must arise, because we are the ones who can be able to demolish all these things and speak out and actually contribute towards the constitution of our country. We have just recently seen the change, the transformation in our country, in the judiciary sector, whereby we've got a newly appointed Deputy Chief Justice, who is a woman, and who knows this pain. So from the LED point of view of the local economic developmental plan, we must contribute. We must contribute. We must come out in arms. Sometimes you have to lose certain shift at work just because you want to build your society.
And it's so unfortunate,
building a society, it has to be something that is of selflessness. Ngoba, you can sleep with what you call expensive plate, but when you sleep with a broken heart, that expensive plate does not make any sense. So we must invest in the joy of our country and our society.
I'm glad you touch on economic development and ensuring that women are part of this economy, because for the longest time, nowadays, all we do when it's Women's Month, we're discussing women being abused. There's hardly any time to discuss beyond that, to say, how do they participate in the economy? It's always about this. But if we had to look at how some organizations are dealing with the whole situation of GBV. We have many organizations telling women that you need to leave, and we're reminding them, and it's good, we're reminding them of their rights. But there's another argument in some quarters that women have always known of their power and known of their rights, but in most cases, they don't have an alternative. That if you're going to have government remind them to walk away, government has also got to assist them to leave that space, that give them something. Whether it be shelter, it be skills, so that they can stand up for themselves.
There are shelters, but there is a certain level that women say, I cannot leave the mansion, I cannot leave without the certain level, the certain standards that I have set up for myself. So they do not want to go and debrief in the shelter, so that they can be able to get counseling. They can be able to know actually what has gone wrong and what are their rights and how they can move on. And then they live that life of a fear that even affects our children. So now we've got children that are retarded, they cannot progress, and also they become abusive, or else they become victims of the abuse because they have seen umama enyamezela. There is no time even I'm brought up by my grandmothers. I'm so proud of those women who were really frank with me and said, getting married in your times, it's not a priority. go and get education so that you can have the key to success. What is success? Success is the dream. Success is a vision that you have about yourself. Then get married. Getting married must be a collaboration. They were so frank, and they had their marriages that were successful, and they stood up for themselves. They wouldn't sleep with someone who's hitting them and beating them. They would call Imbizo at home and even go to that what you call the West harsh uncle of the family, and somebody would really feel what you call embarrassed and apologize. All the things will be done. Now we bury things, and gone are those days. Those few would say, "You must endure." Absolutely, and there's no time to endure. Life is so precious. We need to be at ease. And first of all, when you are in a relationship as a girl, before you even get married, don't ever have someone who points finger at you, and I do not allow that. Yeah. Hence, I am still not married today, because I attract those people who have a background of saying, actually, you can no woman can succeed without a man. I have succeeded. I have traveled the world in 7 seas. I've built my empires. I have raised my children. My son has gone to the mountain without the involvement of his father. And I told his father that, you know what, this child has been raised by my family. If you want to come and watch such a beauty when he comes back from the mountain, you are highly allowed to do so.
You know, Ma'am Jessica, coming from you, this is honestly very powerful, because you're a woman who takes pride in her tradition.
Yes.
And you speak of your aunts who take pride in their tradition.
Yes.
But here you are breaking those stereotypes, saying a woman can do it without a man. And there is a standard. If a man does not meet the standard, you can discard of him. You can live your own life. And honestly, you'll never know how powerful it is to hear from a woman who takes pride in tradition to say it's okay to walk away. Because mostly there's the assumption that such a message would come from a very modern woman who probably has lost her sense of identity insofar as her tradition is concerned. They'll say, yes, it's the women of the urban areas. Of course, they would encourage that. So you'll never truly understand how important it is to hear such coming from a woman like you.
Women are strategists. A man can have all the money in the world, but they will never utilize it and invest it the way that a woman would bring a retainer out of it. So I am saying to women, urban or rural, actually the rural ones are most fortunate because they are within the organic systems. They live. Here in the urban areas, you have a pressure of how much Eskom is going to charge you today, and the petrol and everything. It's difficult to integrate. We focus on those things. There is no greatest wealth than being content. When you do not have something, do not go. Say no, absolutely no. I am not available for that. And build your circles. Build the circles of the people that will not say to you, excuse me, you do not have a car, but you actually can afford it. Absolutely. With my money, I travel the world in 7 seas, conducting feasibility study, meeting with other women in the Caribbean islands, across the diaspora, looking at the indigenous people. How are they still preserving their heritage? How are they still trading amongst themselves? Women, the world is an oyster. There is no bottom. Yeah. Go up the skies, go through the cruise. We are travelers as people. Let us revive our society. Let us not be stagnant and be bored. Let us take up both men and women. Go to Dubai. Stop stigmatizing the places that have got wealth. Go to that desert, baby, and listen to the beautiful birds and the sounds of nothing, so that you can reflect to your inner being and rise above everything that you thought it defines you. We are only defined by the universal infinite energy. Women do not die, even those they have killed brutally. I am telling you, their voices are haunting them. They will never relax anywhere in the world, because we transcend to the higher power. And the most powerful being in the world is the person who carries a human being within 9 months and still give birth to the life that impregnates people, that builds and the architects of this world, which is man. Women are not mad, but women are powerful because are the man makers.
I'm Jessica Siyabonga. Thank you very much for joining us today. You heard Bafazi, the world is your oyster, the world is your stage. Do with it what you want. Travel, live your life. Just take up your space in society. Thank you very much again. That's Mam Jessica Mbange.